Excuse me? Is this the Vault of Seeking?
No, ma'am. This is a library.
Oh, but the map... Wait, no, I mean... They're the same thing. I was told...
I'm sorry. I can't ever resist making that joke to first-time visitors. Yes, this is the Vault of Seeking. I just have to keep myself entertained. Standing out here can get tedious. First time here?
Yes, I was told to, show my student brand to the guards at the door, to gain access.
That's right. Let me see. May I take your hand?
Yes, here.
First year. That must be exciting. Am I right, Miss Clove?
Yes. You can let go now.
My apologies. I was just being thorough. Some crafty wizard wannabes can go so far as to give themselves a fake brand to get in here. There have been cases of branding ink being imitated so closely that only trained eyes can spot it.
Oh, well, do I pass?
Of course. Welcome to the Rare Library, otherwise known as the Vault of Seeking. They probably told you this, but anytime you're in here, a Librarian Guard will escort you. Today, that'll be me.
Yes, thank you so much. I was aware, so I wanted to visit when there weren't too many other students around trying to get in. I heard there's also a limit. I think it was 5 or 7 at a time.
Depending on the day, yes. The number of librarian guards on duty sometimes changes. A lot of students have been complaining about the restrictions, but rules are rules. It's not just your typical library. A lot of knowledge is stored behind these walls. Every shelf is engraved with magical records passed down generation after generation. It's our duty to protect it. Although, if you ask me, it really just looks like a big room filled with dusty old tomes.
Perhaps. But it's what's between the pages that counts.
Ah, yes. All magic comes from words. Yada yada. Still though, kinda hard to imagine why they need so many of us guards. I think they should just make copies instead of holding the original text as sacred. Would make things easier for all of us.
For holding such an important role, you don't seem to care much about it.
Careful now, miss. You're starting to sound like my captain. In any case, what sections are you looking for today?
Oh, our mentors gave us a list. Okay, I need 2 chants for base fusing spells, 1 list of inflammatory ingredients to study for my apothecary course, and, looks like 3 recipes for intermediate potions. Oh, and 1 for, aromatic herbology.
Mind if I see your list? Let me look these up in my registry over here. Which sections? Shelf alphabet and the assigned tome. Sorry, this might take a while. So while I'm getting this info, how are you liking your classes so far?
Hard to say. Being the first week, most classes have been orientations or icebreakers.
Ah, everyone's favorite. They must not be your cup of tea, since you're so painfully shy, little miss.
Oh, I guess it's obvious, huh? Please, just call me Clove.
If you insist, little Miss Clove. Call me Trick.
Trick?
Mm-hmm. Mom called me that because she tricked my dad into marrying her by falling pregnant with me. Here we go. Here's a list of every tome you need, and where to find them. If you'll come with me, I'll escort you to each one.
Okay. Thank you.
The The Vault of Seeking is much tinier than the main library. Going around to get what we need isn't a task and a half here like it is over there. For a first year, they sure are making you read a lot in the first week.
That comes with all magical courses. Everything we're learning is so intricate.
Maybe if they spent less time on icebreakers, they could get into teaching faster, huh? Here's the first volume. Looks like you need an ethereal copy of pages 307 to 312. Have you ever seen this done before?
Once or twice. But my village library is so small they've never had ethereal stones.
Then hold steadfast for a bit here. I have to use a different stone for each tome. Kachora Nakra Thrum. Okay, while this little beauty is glowing so pretty, I'll wave it over the text of each page to imprint the copy. Interesting stuff. And by that I mean intensely boring. Try not to fall asleep while reading about potion bases, alright? One wrong move and it'll be disastrous, even if all the following ingredients are correct.
That's what my professors told us. They've all been drumming that part into our heads repeatedly.
With good reason. Last semester, a third year decided to skip boiling his base liquid. A third year, mind you. As if they couldn't get any lazier.
I don't really understand.
Ah, right. You wouldn't know. The first step in making any potion is to boil the very main liquid base. It's like cooking. Heat is essential to make the ingredients merge together and get all seasoned and powerful. Without boiling, well, that third year basically was mixing together raw ingredients that didn't do well in cold water. I'm all done with this one. You hold on to your first stone, Miss Clove. Do you have a pouch for them?
Ah, yes, here.
Fetching little pouch, that.
Thank you. It's from home. My mom made it new before I left.
I'd never have guessed it was homemade. Well, let's move on to the next book. Section E, row, apothecary. Yes, here we are. Pages 12 to 13. Easy. Kachora Nakra Thrum. Back to the third year story. I guess the student was using a plant that emits a heavy sleeping fog when added to cold water.
The murder mistweed. That's where that infamous murder marsh gained its name.
My little Miss Clove. Are you really just a first year?
I don't need to learn about the murder marsh in tomes, Sir Trick. It's one of the most beautiful, deadly stretches of wetland in the country. I've seen the paintings of the mist, glowing that eerie green under the shadow of the dense forests. A murder mistweed growing in a forested wetland is like multiple natural elements joining forces to lure humans to their deaths. Oh, it sends shivers on my spine to think of all the people who fell asleep in the thickest of it, never to rise again. If only the sunlight could pierce through those trees, it would melt the mist away during the daytime.
You sure can turn a phrase when you decide to speak up.
Oh, sorry. I get overly excited about the powers of the earth. To think that anything we need to craft or cure can be found out there, in nature, if we just combine the right things.
You'll do well when you're assigned essays. Alright, here's your second stone. Looks like it's on to section C. Intermediate potions. Where are you hiding? It should be here. The info says... someone shelved it 2 slots to the right of where it should be. This is how books are lost forever, even in a library as small as this.
What happened, by the way, with the 3rd year?
Oh, like you said, the sun eventually took care of the whole issue, but it was nighttime when they began brewing. Well, can't call it brewing without boiling water. Ridiculous. But the single sprig of murder mist weed was enough to engulf the entire floor of the dorm. Because yes, they were brewing in their dorm.
Insanity.
Kachora nakra thrum. Okay, pages 58 to 70. This'll be a long one. Anyway, yes, it was a huge ordeal. Spelled light is ineffective against murder mist, so, in the end, the professors just had to keep watch from a distance until morning. Thankfully, everyone was all right. There were only a few minor injuries from students collapsing when they fell asleep. But you have that incident to thank for how they've doubled down on base fusion and base potion education.
I can't blame them. So, how did you become a guard?
I was suited to it. I'm tall, strong, and intimidating from afar, but just a librarian up close.
Were you a student here?
No, but my grandfather was. He taught historical magic relevance. He used to bring me here when I was young. We called it the Palace, since it is one. I didn't really care about learning from books, but my grandfather made knowledge sound so exciting back then. He always spoke about what a symbol of progress this university is. Can't argue. Turning a shamefully lavish palace into a place of learning? Those long overthrown dictators must be rolling in their graves.
Triumph for the people, right?
Goodness, if I never hear that rebellion cry again, it'll be too soon. My grandpa used to love repeating it for any random thing that could be called a victory. An entire class got good marks. Triumph for the people. He made a shot of crumpled paper into a waste bin. Triumph for the people. He talked a shopkeep down on the price of an item. Triumph for the people. You see how I'd shudder at hearing it again.
Doesn't help that it's the school's slogan, I suppose.
Definitely not. But still, I understand the cultural significance. An instance of rebellious commoners coming out on top and overthrowing the monarchy, and sustaining a republic, can get the blood pumping for the locals around here.
The rest of the country does have the ancestors in this area to thank for their freedom, so that pride makes sense to me.
Doesn't mean it can't be intolerable at times. I'd rather hear people brag about something they accomplished themselves, instead of harping on about how legendary their predecessors were, as if they themselves can, take credit for it.
I know what you mean. There's a fellow student in several of my classes, and he uses every opportunity to interject how his a lot of greats, grandparents were in the thick of the mob who broke into the palace itself. It'd be fascinating if he didn't tout that fact for attention.
I get the feeling that attention is akin to a curse in your mind, Little Miss Clove.
Yes, I like to keep to myself.
Well, if anyone ever makes you uncomfortable, you just don't be afraid to speak up for yourself. Sometimes you've got to make some noise in order to stay silent.
I never thought of it that way. I usually just keep quiet, and no one bothers me. Well, except for my parents.
The family can't take hints, huh?
Something like that. I had to speak up to them for the first time recently. because I didn't want to wait any longer to attend university.
I wondered why you seemed older than a typical first year.
Not by much, but by enough. Yes.
How come you started late?
My family makes fabric, and it's always been understood that I carry on the legacy.
Oh, tough spot.
Yes, thankfully, once I actually spoke up about wanting to go to university, they listened. If I didn't have 2 other siblings, though, it might have turned out different. I'm in the middle, too, so
You had more of an out then.
I wouldn't put it like that.
Oh? How come? It's all right. You don't need to tell me. You've overshared enough for someone so shy.
You're easy to talk to is all.
All right, here's your stone for those pages. We only have 1 tome left for...
Aromatic Herbology.
That's the one. Let's go looking for the right section here. Let's see.
Second from the left, with the green binding.
Well, looks like someone can recognize herbology books a mile away. You're right.
They all have the same look about them once you've seen enough.
Okay, passage 6, pages 14 through 20. Another longer bit. Katura Nakra Thrum. Last stone here, and we'll have you on your way.
What I said just now, about not really having it out like you thought?
What about it, Little Miss Clove?
It was hard telling my parents that I wanted to go to university. Because my father's been ill the last few years. So all of us have had to pitch in and help my mother with the business. Making fabric, it's time consuming. And we don't even dye it, we just make the raw materials. But he's recovered now. They didn't know for a while if he would, but he turned a corner a handful of months ago. I knew I still had time to sign up if I made the arrangements, so I had to kind of blindside them with it. I think that, along with never really speaking up before, is the only reason they let me come.
Sounds like you were a loyal child, but stayed true to yourself. That's very brave of you, Little Miss Clove.
Brave, right?
Why the sorrowful tone?
I don't know if...
It's none of my business. You don't have to.
They think I'm studying medicinal herbology.
Oh.
I choked at the last minute when they asked me what could possibly be important enough to abandon my family for. I panicked, spun some tale about wanting to study healing after watching my father suffer.
Oh dear. That's rough.
I feel wretched about it. I just wanted to be selfish. For once. I've always kept my head down, always done what they wanted. It's not like they're monsters or anything. I have a very loving family.
Doesn't mean they aren't keeping you trapped a bit.
I don't even know if that's how I'd describe it. I don't even know. I haven't really told them about how I feel about it all. About my passions.
Your passion for the earth is plain to see from where I stand.
That's just one facet of my interests.
Oh?
Yes. It's a means to an end, but none of it matters. I'm here now and I have to do the best I can. I can't really think about my family for too long, or I just don't know what my end plan is.
That sounds exhausting, but I'm glad you told me about it. Sounds like you haven't let out those feelings before.
Like I said, you're easy to talk to.
It's a bit more than that. Here, your last stone. All your material is copied now.
Thank you so much.
If there's nothing else you need, I'll walk you to the exit. Not trying to kick you out, but it's my job.
No, I understand. What did you mean it's a bit more than that? When I opened up to you?
People always feel seen around me. I have that effect on others.
Is that a latent power, or
It's tied in with one, yes.
does that make things difficult? Always having to deal with other people's problems, or people seeming overly familiar with you when they're strangers?
I've never had an issue with it. I like people, but that might just be because I can see through them in a way.
What do you mean?
Let's just say I have a keen sense of judgment. I can glean more from an interaction with a person than most can.
That's a useful power, I suppose.
Can be, but other times it's worthless. Especially if a person is entirely sincere and wears their truth on their sleeves. It's more interesting when a person seems that way, but they're really hiding their true selves.
You can tell that much about someone just from meeting them once?
Getting nervous, are we, young man?
How long have you...
Calm down. I'll keep your secret. I might not understand your reasons, but I can see through a veiling spell like I'm glancing through a window. It's why I'm such a useful guard.
You can see through veiling spells?
I can hear your real voice, too. I can tell you've spelled it to sound more feminine around others.
You can hear me? I used this separate spell for my voice. I've never heard of... I mean, how?
Now, keep it down. I'd appreciate you not go around telling people. I keep your secret, you keep mine, all right?
If you say so, but... What are you doing being a library guard with a power that immense?
I don't really see the need to do anything else, unless the opportunity arises. It's a steady job in a place that's important to me. It's paid for my own little house on the outskirts of the village, too. So, that's more than most can say.
True, I'm just paying my way at the inn right now.
You aren't staying in a dorm?
I can't exactly stay in the girls' dorm. I'm not that committed. Or scummy. And staying in the boys' would mean too much back and forth keeping the secret hidden. So, I just took up a room when I got here a week ago.
You really weren't kidding about not having a plan.
It's embarrassing, bud. It's the only way I could study what I... never mind.
That has to be expensive, though. Staying at the inn for however many years you planned on studying.
I didn't plan that far ahead. I'm already reaching the end of my savings. I might have to buckle down and choose a dorm, or... I don't know.
I know we're strangers, but I have an entire house, and it's not that far from here. If you wanted, you could stay with me.
But I can't pay you.
Maybe you could just teach me a few of the things you learn in your classes once in a while as payment. My grandpa always said, knowledge is more valuable than coin.
I can't tell you how much that would mean to me. I don't really have much of a choice either.
I'm an easy roommate, I promise. The most noise I make is when I'm training, but I usually do all my forms and such early in the morning, so it shouldn't bother you.
Do you study combat?
As an exercise, yes. It's good to have some fighting skill in a position where it could come in handy. I've never had to throw a single punch on duty before, though.
Well, I could at least cook some meals for you. I did that a lot back home, so at least let me pay you back in that way.
I'll never say no to a good meal, but just know that it's not necessary. I'll be happy to have you, Little Miss Clove.
You can call me Clove. No need for the miss.
But it's so much more fun to watch you blush when I say Little Miss.
Don't make fun of me. I'm a boy. I'm not under this veil because I want to be a girl.
Then why are you?
It's complicated.
Well, for what it's worth, You do make a very cute girl, Clove.
Thanks, I guess. It doesn't matter when you can see through my veil.
You did a wonderful job weaving it. I assure you, no one else is the wiser. I'm just a freak that way.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Then don't. Here, I'll write down my address. How soon can you move in?
How soon will you take me?
Is tonight too soon?
If I don't stay the night, they won't charge me for the room, so... Yes, that'll be wonderful.
Then gather your belongings when you're done with classes. I'll be home in a few hours. It's the little cottage with the cow paddock out back.
Thank you so much. I don't know what I would have done
Don't worry about it. Happy to help. Sometimes not having plans can lead to even better ones.
That wasn't my intention, but it was my hope. Oh, thank you with a lovely dinner. I can stop and get the ingredients on my way there, if you don't mind me using your kitchen.
I look forward to it. See you tonight then, little Miss Clove.
Maybe I won't cook for you if you keep teasing me.
My kitchen has a stone oven with a rotating searing plate.
Well, I'll do it for the oven then.
You herbologist types always seem to love cooking. I knew that would get you.
Herbs are magic in any form, Mr. Trick, but herbs in food are undeniably the most enjoyable.
Oh, you're making me hungry. What meal are you going to make anyway?
I'll surprise you.
Have it your own way then.
Bye, and thank you again.